Very good evening. UK bird news and sightings as of Sunday, the 14th of September 2025. We continue to have lots of redback shrikes being spotted around the UK, mostly juvenile. Glossy ibis are still showing up in large numbers. A couple have even been reported at the London Wetland Centre. Have a look at my recent bird news vlog and learn more about the species. Balearic shearwater is showing well on the coasts, particularly around Cornwall and Devon, the usual places. Dungeness in Kent is proving to be one of the best locations to see all of these really well, including some long-staying Eurasian dotterel, the odd wryneck reported in places like Cornwall and Wales. Got a rank as one of the top European birds for sure. Large numbers of grey phalarope on the south side of Wales and a few other places. Scientific name Phalaropus falcarius, from the sandpiper family. Winter plumage mostly pale grey and white, which is why it's called the grey phalarope. Famous for spinning in circles at the water's surface, creating small whirlpools that bring food, plankton, small crustaceans and insects up where they can peck them. The swimming ability: unlike most waders, phalarope spend much of their lives at sea and are strong swimmers. Role reversal: females are more brightly coloured, compete for mates and leave after laying eggs. Males incubate the eggs about 3 to 4 and raise the chicks. Extremely long distance migrants, breed in the Arctic and winter far out at sea, especially in the tropical Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. Rarely seen inland, but sometimes appear on lakes or reservoirs during migration. Fun fact: phalaropes are one of the few birds that feed extensively on the open ocean, behaving almost like miniature seabirds despite being waders. Reports of red-rumped swallows landing in random locations all over the UK. Ospreys are showing extremely well in several spots around Kent, Suffolk and Norfolk. Their comeback has truly been sensational. Now it's not such a big surprise to see one when you go out for the day, and if you don't see one, you're very likely to bump into a birder who has seen one that day. The Zitting cisticola that bred in Suffolk, the first for the UK mainland, are still present and doing well. If you look at my vlog from a couple of weeks ago, I go into more detail about that. The tiny curlew sandpiper seems to be having a good start to the autumn. I am seeing dozens of photographers getting what is usually a difficult to spot bird and close. If you've seen my latest vlog where I travelled over to the Isle of Sheppey, you will have seen the big flocks of corn bunting and golden plover that wasn't there on my last visit. Also local to me, probably the first short-eared owl of the autumn has been spotted at Rainham Marshes, and Sunday the 14th a stunning male red-footed falcon landed at Elmley. So there is definitely a very obvious shift of bird species. Other notables include multiple Sabine gulls. Here are some fascinating facts about Sabine's gulls. Zema sabini. Breeding plumage: distinctive black hood, white face, grey back, and a striking triangular wing pattern, black, white and grey. Non-breeding plumage: loses the hood, leaving a white head with a dark ear spot. Juveniles show a bold W pattern across the wings in flight. Their flight style is often described as more tern-like than gull-like, agile and graceful. They feed on insects, small fish, plankton and crustaceans, often picking food from the surface while flying. Nest colonially in the Arctic along with Arctic terns. At sea they are pelagic, spending much of their non-breeding life over the ocean. Fun fact: the wing pattern of the Sabine's gull is so bold and unmistakable that birders often call it the aristocrat of gulls. Okay, let's move on to this little story about curlews in crisis. They are Britain's largest wading bird, with that long, down-curved bill and haunting song. Once widespread, their numbers have fallen by around 60% in just 25 years. Across much of lowland England and Wales, they are already functionally extinct as breeders. Their decline is so severe that the curlew is often called the UK's most pressing bird conservation priority. Why are they in trouble? Habitat loss: wet meadows, bogs and rough pasture, prime curlew habitat, have been drained or converted to intensive farmland. Forestry and development have fragmented the landscape they need. Predation: because curlews nest on the ground, their eggs and chicks are vulnerable to foxes, crows and even badgers. The result: fewer chicks are fledging each year and the population can't replace itself. Now the controversy: predator control. Some conservationists argue that culling foxes and crows may be the only short-term way to help the slide. Supporters say we can't wait decades for habitat restoration while curlews vanish in front of us. But others warn predator control is a short-term fix. Killing native species raises ethical questions. The real issue, habitat loss and human land use, isn't being solved. It's become a polarizing debate. Do we act now with drastic measures or risk losing the curlew forever? Projects in Northern Ireland, Scotland, and parts of England are trialling habitat restoration alongside targeted predator management. Farmers are being paid to delay mowing and creating safer breeding spaces. Community conservation groups are monitoring nests and protecting chicks. And across Europe, there's increasing recognition of the curlew as a cultural icon, not just a bird, but part of our natural heritage. There's been multiple successful breeding programs on the Isle of Sheppey, and I saw hundreds when I visited recently. They are doing really well there, and I think it might be down to lack of predators. I don't believe there are any foxes or badgers on the Isle of Sheppey. And now for some wild bird news. Vulture conservation site launched in Assam, India. A new website has been created to help conserve vultures in Assam, a region where vulture populations have been declining sharply. The platform allows researchers, conservationists, and the public to share data on sightings. Breeding, threats, etc., and helps push policies against harmful drugs like diclorofenac that have decimated vulture numbers across South Asia. Bird safe status for an Indian airport plus wetland protection advocacy. In Navi Mumbai, India, studies show that many water birds in nearby wetlands fly lower than aircraft flight paths, reducing risk of bird strikes. The findings, along with official wildlife hazard monitoring, are being used to try and get local wetlands formally protected. It's a win for balancing development and wildlife safety. Floating nest platforms helping salt marsh sparrows in USA. In Rhode Island, researchers have built simple floating rafts or platforms to protect nests of endangered salt marsh sparrow from flooding caused by rising sea levels. These have already reduced flood-related nest loss without causing more predation or abandonment. It's a small but very meaningful intervention. Egg replacement pilot for Great Indian Bustard. The critically endangered Great Indian Bustard, GIB, is getting new help. In Rajasthan, eggs laid in the wild are being replaced temporarily with dummies, while the real eggs are incubated in a conservation centre. Just before hatching, they're returned to the chicks, can be raised in the wild, maintaining natural behaviour. This could significantly boost survival rates. Okay folks, hope you enjoyed that, and I will see you next week for an update on all the news.